participation of young people, the participation of young people in political affairs, seeing as it is that mostly in Africa, it's only just a little bit of a very small percentage, maybe 1% of young people that are taking up active political roles. And that is slowing down development and slowing down inclusion of our very own content as young people on the national discourse. So thank you. I'm happy to be with you here today.
Thank you so much, Darlington, and thank you for making it here. So I know you have like a busy schedule at your practicum, and yeah, I really appreciate. All right, Ruwaida.
Hello.
Hi, Aditola. You're welcome. So we are introducing speakers, and yeah, you feel free to introduce yourself via the chat. I'll be so happy to go through the chat. And if you have any time, we will welcome you guys to also introduce yourselves. Okay, cool. So we were jumping to the next speaker, who is Ruwaida.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Ruwaida Mohammed, a founder of Desire Youth Initiative in Kenya. I'm happy to be with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruwaida, for making it here. I really appreciate. I know it's the evening in the country and you had some other schedules, so it's really an honor to have you here. Oh, we were to have Dojo here, and unfortunately, I think Dojo hasn't joined. So we will have him along the way as he joins. But in the meantime, let me see if you have anything in the chat for introduction. Or we can also give participants like 1 or 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we roll on. Adetola, I know you wanted to introduce yourself, so feel free to introduce yourself too.
Okay, my name is Adetola Adepoju. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a member of this forum. I think that's it. Is there something else I should say?
No, nothing. How do you feel today?
I feel okay. I've been a bit stressed, but it's getting better now, so that's fine.
Oh, sorry to learn that. I hope you found someone to have conversations with.
No, it's something I needed to do, and someone was delaying it. So, but person's here now, and it's going well, so that's fine.
Oh, we're glad to hear that it's going on well. Great. Thank you for joining. Kelvin, could you also introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Kennedy. My name is Kennedy Kelvin Kadenge from Kenya, and currently in Masai Mara University. So I hope we are all going to enjoy this. I feel so much good to be part of this. Thank
you so much, Kevin, for joining. And I hope you'll give us some insights from university students, what they say about youth and the ballot, so we can't also wait to engage you on that. Oh, Miss Paula, you're welcome.
Good day, everybody. I hope everyone is well. Oh, I should put my video on. Okay, I hope you can now see me. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Faith Paula from Kenya, and I'm looking forward to learning more about Pamoja Child, and maybe I'll have something to share from Kenya.
Awesome. You're really welcome, Miss Paula. So we'll just be talking about young people and election, and I know you have like incredible insights on that. So we'll be really glad to hear from you. Thank you. We jump to Abdulaziz. Abdulaziz, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon. Wow, that's pretty short and clear. Thank you so much. We go to Denomax.
Hello and hi everyone. This
Hi.
is Dennis from Kenya. I work with the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Thank you for this opportunity. I hope to learn more also as I participate in this meeting. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. I know you give us some incredible insights from your end, so we'll be glad to hear from you. Is there anyone else? Bukola.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bukola. I am from Nigeria, an immigrant in the United States right now. And I work with the youth here in the United States. I mostly work with Nigerian youth who are second generation Nigerians here in the United States.
Awesome. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Hi.
Hey, Gaylord. Gaylord,
Yes.
do you mind introducing yourself? Gaylord, would you mind introducing yourself? Your microphone is on. Your microphone
Yes,
is
Dama.
on. Could you kindly introduce yourself?
Okay.
I think Gaylord is held up. I wanted him to introduce himself. I think he didn't hear me on that, but it's fine. I think because I had not started the recording yet, so I would really wish for Arinola to introduce herself once more.
Afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, Arinola.
I don't know, my network is a bit funny. So I think it's freezing intermittently. My name is Ariola Surura Bello. I work as program coordinator for Pan-African Strategic and Policy Research Group. What we do basically mostly is about research around Africans in Africa and the diaspora. And I'm the program coordinator. I also work with youths across some academic discipline. Good to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for finding time to introduce yourself. So we jump direct into the conversation. Great. So voting is actually a fundamental act of civic participation through which young people contribute to democracy. You would correct me if I'm wrong on that, but why would young people not partake in the process that forms a country's democratic foundation? Are there any real explanations as to why they don't? And sometimes when I ponder on this apathy, I ask myself, could maybe the high rate of unemployed youth who are day in, day out, trying or struggling to make ends meet in our current economic system, have no moments to spare to consider the pros and cons of voting in, of not voting or just voting and deserving politician? Or could it maybe, let's say it's an assumption that the current voting system has become so easily manipulated that people don't even bother heading to their polling stations before they abnormally close, like the case that we saw in Kenya. Some of the polling stations actually closed way early because people are not even bothered to go and vote. So I ask myself, do we still practice my vote, my voice slogan nowadays? This is a youth paradox in voting, right? So to our speakers of the day, how is the situation in your respective countries and why do you think the situation is so? So we start with Darlington.
Yes, Damaris, how are you?
I'm great.
Can I have your question again? I think I want to do justice to the conversation, and I don't want to go sideways and miss the conversation. This is a very interesting conversation, and I think, can I have your question again so that I really go through it exhaustively?
Awesome. I think the only question that I just asked is that how is the situation in your country? So you can talk about Zimbabwe, if that is okay. But if you have anything to talk about the US where you currently are, then you can be able to just talk about it. And then you just tell us, why is the situation that way? Like youth and the voting.
Okay. Thank you. It's pretty much what I had prepared already. Damaris, I would like to speak for my country and maybe assume that this could be a situation that is cross-cutting in other countries as well. In Zimbabwe right now, I would tell you confidently that young people have lost confidence in the vote. Young people feel they are not quite represented in the vote, and young people are not so much anymore interested in the vote as opposed to maybe their economic welfare. So this is a very pathetic situation. African politics is dominated by a strong underlying concept of ageism, where the elderly and senior politicians have more to say, more to do, and are more represented in maybe the even if you look at the voter lists, the electoral list, where like the number of candidates that are there, it's just a few young people that are represented there. And this kind of alienates young people from participating in politics and in having interest, maybe even in casting their vote. So this is a very pathetic situation. I don't know how we can address this, but young people nowadays are like preoccupied mostly with their economic well-being. Where am I getting the next dollar? And not so much interested in the public policy and public election systems. It also goes down, Damaris, to confidence in the vote. When there are accusations of voter manipulation, people are saying the results that eventually come out do not represent our wishes. And sometimes this reduces the interest of the voter in voting again or in trying to put up with politics, because they believe that it is a manipulated system. Sometimes their wishes are not coming out as they would have wanted to. I'm not saying anyone is rigging elections, but young people believe that most of the times, young people, the undertone is that whatever results are coming out do not actually represent our interests and our wishes as young people. So right now we have a situation in my country where to be registered as a participant in the elections has become a costly initiative. I'm not sure about the amounts. I spend too much time in the fields. I concentrate mostly on agriculture, but all I know is that this is an exorbitant amount that is now being required by the Electoral Commission for you to be registered as a candidate in the forthcoming elections. So we understand that the African dynamic for developing economies predisposes young people as low-income earners who sometimes cannot afford to pay that very amount. So we don't know if it is deliberate exclusion or if this is just happening out of the need for it to happen. But young people are more and more alienated from the electoral process. So yeah, that's it. So my encouragement: we can't lament all day and cry, and say we are not represented as young people. We are not listened to. We cannot participate. I feel like if we lament and cry, nothing positive will ever come out of a situation. So what do I suggest as as a young person who's also interested in maybe how the country is being run and everything, I suggest that young people need to talk more and more within themselves and through their own community groups to see what they can actually do. Maybe it's better for when it's an expense to really run a campaign and everything. It's better to pour resources behind one young person and know that at least a group of 20 young people are represented. And young people need to take up space. If you can't take up space in public policy, why not take up space in private policy, like civic society activities, talk to the other guys who are doing policy critique, or who are in government, engaging government on policy issues. And that way you can have an alternative say to whatever national politicians are doing, because you have a pool and they normally are resources. Like, for example, this platform is one of those platforms where as young people, we just come together, converge, and share our experiences and come up with solutions. So sometimes you do not need to necessarily be a public politician to be able to influence how some issues that are of concern to the community will work out. The civic space is there. There are different other spaces, and also just being educated enough and knowledgeable of the current policies that are accruing in your country, the direction of politics at the time. Young people need to have that interest and make sure that they keep track with what is happening. That's my thinking. And I know some guys who say, let's take the radical approach, but it won't work for us. So we have to be gentle, subtle, and creative enough when dealing with political issues due to their sensitivity. And I know that in African countries, there might be a little bit of victimization. So the best strategy is to take up civic space, rise within civic space, and if anything comes up, let's pull fund for potential young people to be representative, to be our representatives in the political national discourse. Thank you so much. I hope I made sense.
Absolutely, Darlington. Thank you so much for those incredible insights. And I'm sure more participants have been very keen to follow. And if they have any questions, I suggest they throw them in the chat box, or they just raise up their hands and they'll be given the opportunity to ask the question or put in the comment. But the insights that you've given, Darlington, are really, really great. But I'm just asking myself, we've been having these conversations day in, day out, come this election, come the other election, but we somehow feel like, okay, I don't know, like the situation is quite the same. And sometimes you find that even young people, when it comes to the other election, the number reduces instead of the percentage going up. So I keep asking myself, what are we doing right, or what are we not doing right, you know? But anyway, let's hear from Arinola.
Good day, everybody, once again. I think I should turn off my video, because can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Can you give me permission to share my screen? You know, I said I actually tried to do a short survey to hear people's views about the upcoming 2023 elections in Nigeria. It was a very short survey, which I just asked about people's gender, their age brackets, if they will be voting. And of course, we know that the minimum age for voting is 18. And of course, before you can actually exercise that civic duty of voting, you need to have a voter's card. That's the first step. And at least quite a number of people that filled the survey said, yes, we're going to vote. Yes, most of them also had voter's card, but one or two of them didn't have a voter's card. And out of those one or two that didn't have a voter's card, one was not even interested in making that effort to get a voter's card. So for me, I knew that right from when we were in school was when we started learning social studies. And maybe in secondary school, governments were taught about those basic civic responsibilities. Even for me personally, I didn't think I started voting until I was in my late 20s, almost 30, because of the news, the violence, and all the stories we hear about elections and things that surround it. So, and I think for the younger generation, quite a number of them also have those issues. I have some of, I have some people, I'm in my 40s now, I'm in my early 40s, but I know people that are also in my age brackets that probably have never voted before. And today I was reading a news article whereby the recent elections that took place in Osun State, which is one of the southwestern states in Nigeria. And the discussion was around a couple who got killed because the political party had given up money and their leader didn't share the money, and it turned into a fracas. It became violence. People lost their lives. So, and I think mostly for youths, especially the younger generation in their late teens, in their early 20s, and their 30s, early 30s, when you raise these things, these are most of the issues that come up. The violence most times is a turn-off. You approach a polling booth or a registration booth for you to get your card, it is serious issues. So when you sample people's opinion, basically they are not ready to go through that hassle. So, and I am not sure if Nigeria is at that level where we'll be able to embrace the electronic voting system, whereby you don't even have to step out at the comfort of your home. You could actually register, you understand, and have your right to vote and also vote electronically without having to visit a polling center. And I know that a lot of the younger generations now, they are tech savvy. So if you really want to engage them to be part of this conversation with regards voting, we need to step up the game by making sure that the electronic part of it is made to come to a reality, because that's the reality we are living now. If we really want to engage them, I have a couple of teens, my own kids, my first two kids. One is in his 20s, and then the other one is just approaching 18. And I sampled their opinion even amongst some of their friends. A lot of them are not willing, and I understand their fears. So I think we have a lot of work to do. We need to keep the conversation open, of course, try to sensitize them. I've encouraged my first son. He has gone to register, but he's not going to get his card until maybe November, towards the end of the year. And we just have to keep that conversation going, that it is your right. And the only way you can have any impact is to be part of the discussion, just like Darlington has mentioned. You cannot sit aloof and expect magic to happen. So I think that's my stand. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are you in a position to share your screen? Because I actually made sure that anyone can share the screen.
Okay, let me see if I can do that. I'm able to.
Yeah.
Just look at
okay. And I would also wish to understand, what do you folks have to say regarding electronic voting? Do you think this will work in your countries? And in those countries that are already practicing electronic voting, is it working? I would really wish to know what folks have to say on that. Yes, we can see the screen, Arinola.
Okay, so I think so far I had 17 people that responded to that. And because across different states, as you can see, Osun, Lagos, Oyo, Nasarawa, which is up north, Abuja, FCT, those are the respondents. I got them to put their emails and phone numbers. So that's the gender. We had more female, 52.9% were female, and 47.1% were male out of those that responded. And that's their age brackets. I had 18 to 25 years old that responded. About 35.3% were in that age bracket, and those are the youngest that are eligible to vote. Then the next age bracket is 26 to 35 years. I had about 10 people in that bracket, which is the chunk of those that responded, 58.8%. And then for people like myself that are above 35, I think there was just one person in that age bracket. And then I further went ahead to ask them questions. Of course, if you want to vote, you need a voter's card. So as you can see here, 23.5% don't have a voter's card. 76.5% of them have a voter's card. So, and I asked them, would they be voting? 17.6% said no. 82.4%, which is still okay as far as I'm concerned, are willing to vote during the next elections in 2023. And I further went on to ask them also, what would be their reason if they are not voting? So somebody said, I don't have a voter's card. I'm not actually interested. The person said, to put the right candidate, the voters can be reached, votes can be reached. So they gave their reasons why they might not want to vote. Because I do not have a voter's card as another person. I'm not yet ready for collection at secretariat. Okay, no reason. So that person is we have poor leadership, no good candidates available at the moment. So those are the reasons why these young people are saying they might not participate in the next 2023 elections in Nigeria. And then I further went ahead to ask, do you think your vote counts? Quite a good chunk, 76.5% said yes. 17.6% said no, and then I think just a few, one or two people said he or she was indifferent. And then I went to ask, what will motivate you to exercise your voting rights? And then they also gave me easy access to obtaining voters card, which is some of the things I mentioned. State of Nigeria, putting the right person in power, good leadership, you know, so, and it went on like that. And so I think basically that's it. I hope you saw were you able to follow my screen? Hello?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So
I
I will
don't
leave that
know.
open and then still try to collect more information around the 2023 elections in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Arinola, could you share the link here so that folks can be able to respond to it, and then we see at the end of the conversation, we see if there are any changes?
Okay, no problem. I'll put that in the chat box.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You're welcome.
Wow, that's a very powerful tool, a very powerful civic engagement tool. Yeah, it's really interesting because Arinola, I reached out to Arinola just yesterday, and you see she's just an amazing lady, amazing woman. She just came up with the survey, and I think this is a very, very powerful tool that can advise us on the way forward, on what you're supposed to do, on the areas you can improve. So folks, I don't know if you have any opinions or suggestions. Could you kindly raise up your hand? But before that, let me jump to Rueda.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Rueda. Good evening from your end. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'll talk on behalf of Kenya in my country. Despite of making up more than half of the population in many countries, young people often find themselves marginalized from mainstream politics and decision making. They struggle to gain respect of public officials and are seen as lacking the skills and experience to engage in political activity and lead positive change in their community. This exclusion, combined with limited educational and economic opportunities, can leave young people both idle and frustrated with the status. us as youth, we lack respect. Call public officials and are seen of low skills and no experience to engage in such political experience.
I think you dropped Rueda.
Yes.
Okay,
Do
cool.
you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
As youth, we really struggle. We really struggle.
Great. It's good to hear from you, Rueda. And I don't know what other folks from Kenya have to say about that. And I would really be also keen to note about it. And I know most folks in Kenya are in this group, in this platform, in this session. So please let us know like what you have to say about that. Cool. We can see some questions in the chat, and I think Kennedy has a question. Kennedy, could you kindly ask the question? And one of the speakers will be glad to respond.
Okay, so my question is, I hope I'm audible.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is my question. What can we really do to ensure that the number of youth in the ballot increases?
All right, so Rueda and Darlington and Arinola, is there anyone who wish to respond to that question? Yeah, Darlington, please go ahead.
Let me take a shot at that question, Damaris. You know, to start with, politics is a game of, let's be realistic, politics is a game of money. You need to have an economic advantage to start telling a group of people that you can actually help them. That's one. That is the African way. And secondly, if the environment that young people are operating in does not allow or place an advantage on them being a disadvantaged, marginalized group, then it is going to be difficult to have more young people in leadership at national level. So what we have done in Zimbabwe, which is something that I think look to and feel like it's progressive in the last, say, 5 years, or the previous election and the previous constitution that we have in place now, is to put a quota system. A quota system is a preference system that actually reserves a few seats to say these seats are totally meant for young people. So if we could go to a level where we specifically specify that, say for a province, let's just call one of our province Zoomland, right? For this entire province, we expect anyone who is on the ballot contesting as a member, maybe of parliament or of the Senate, or to become a mayor, to be below the age of 35 and above the age of 18. That rule will allow more people within that age gap to take up a leadership positions at national level. So a quota system is one way of promoting youth participation in national politics. And also, I feel like, you know, one of the challenges, that's number 3, one of the challenges that we have as young people in African communities now is fear. I wouldn't call it cowardice, fear, which is reasonable, that, you know, young people now are afraid of national politics because of the picture that sometimes gets portrayed on television and the conversations that we have every day. So part of the reason why young people are not in that space is because we do not have bold characters. You see, look at the South African dispensation. When we had guys like Julius Malema, he just stand up and say, no, young people's voices need to be heard in South Africa. He brought with him a whole chain of other young leaders, Floyd Chivambu, and the other guys like Mumsi Maimani. It becomes a culture to say, let's support this bold. So African youth need to actually be bold enough to say, I want to do this and do it. And look at even the case of Uganda. Who would have thought that a young person like Bobby Wine, his age, is just a regular old musician, right, would actually be able to stand up to Yoweri Museveni and say, let's do something good for Uganda. So I feel like it's an issue to do with grassroots participation. Young people don't need to, you can't wake up tomorrow, Damaris, and be a member of parliament in your country. You can't. But the fact that you're organizing symposiums like this, you are having people on board, you are having conversations, these are actually early signs to say, maybe if you take up leadership later on, people will look at your track record. What was he doing? So young people nowadays need to start even like actively participating at grassroots level politics. You do not necessarily have to participate in a national election for young people to be represented in the political system. No, you can actually start at grassroots level, organize young people to be more political conscious, organize young people to know their rights, organize ways for people that are victimized for participating in grassroots politics to get recourse, maybe through legal groups like, we have lawyers for human rights all over. These guys will actually support you if you're out there and you approach them and tell them what you're doing, and they see that maybe there might be victimization. So it all comes down to whether or not young people are ready to take up that space. For me, I always tell people that, well, if I want to do politics, I will start doing politics maybe after I reach the age of 40, because I don't see the sense in trying to change the viewpoint of the senior politicians who have a historical background to what they are doing today. So you see, it's a very big challenge, and we as young people, I think we could actually be more vocal, would actually be more organized at grassroots level to understand what we are getting into and how best we can do it. And also, I would encourage young people to be more economically active, because an African politician, even the world over, you need a certain economic advantage, so that you'll be able to profile solutions for people and be able to tell them that you can actually do things A, B, C, D, E. So I think it all goes down to economic empowerment for young people, and actually being, just the courage to be an active political player, and also understanding policies and how they work and influencing them, like having to argue for the quota system that is more defined and allows more young people to participate in national politics. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Thank you, Darlington, for those remarks. That is really, really awesome. And I just received a private message. Someone is saying that she voted for a certain politician because of the track record, but when the politician got the seat, everything changed. And she's like, she was wondering what happened to the politician, because the politician is not the same as he was before. So I don't know what happens to the seat. So she's really interested to know what happens after. Would you be comfortable responding to that, Darlington?
What happened? Oh, they voted for someone who had promised something and never delivered, right?
Yes, because of the track record. Like the politician had a good track record, and then she believed in him. Like the manifesto was all awesome and promising, But when he got elected, everything changed. And like he stopped being the voice that he was. So what happens? And she's like, she's having problems voting in the next election because she don't know who to trust and she don't know the way forward. Like you say, the policies, like being conversant with the policies. But again, she's asking, what happens to the grassroots community members you've mentioned who don't even have education? Like, you know, the ignorance level is high. So you talk about them accessing policies. How are they going to access policies? And how are they going to ensure that, like, there's a positive impact after election?
I think what that question is a very complicated question, and I feel like it's a relatively difficult question to respond. But what I would say is, you know, when a man is courting a woman and the woman finally says yes, the things that the man was doing throughout the courtship period sometimes never become reality when the woman is actually in marriage or they are now in a relationship. That is something that has been always happening. But so what we can do is, now that it's policy and it's national discourse and it affects public good, let's have what we call monitoring. We should put in place monitoring and evaluation tools, right? And progress trackers. If you sit down today with Darlington, and I promise you guys, look, I'm a person who is interested in agricultural work. I promise you guys, I'll start broiler chicken projects for 20 people from this community. You guys will start selling your own chicken. You have more food, you make money. And then you put me in power, and then I decide to not even give at least 5 people to the capital to start up those projects. Then we can go back to do have an initial agreement. Nowadays, we don't like to get into arrangements with people without being able to hold them accountable for what they say. You see that? So it is also very important that we have more civic voices at grassroots level that will be able to question periodically and continuously, you know, and seasonally the guys that we put in power, to ask them, guys, so now that you are here, you promised deliverables A, B, C, D. Why are you not delivering on that? Is there a challenge? If there's a challenge, they should communicate. And then you see, you make it public information to say, Honorable Aswa promised us, you know, a whole bunch of chickens for each household that was going to put them in power, but now he's not delivering. And politicians, naturally, when they are put out there in public spaces and people are talking about what they failed to do, normally they end up doing that. So we understand that people forget, you know, if you benefit a person today, the next day they might even come back to bite you. But that's, we as a community, we should have performance tracking tools that we put in place, and performance tracking strategies and ways of questioning public officials as to the deliverables that were promised. So I feel like it comes back down to the concept of being organized, you know, at grassroots level, to understand the functions and actually functions and tools that we can put in place to hold our leadership to account. Yeah,
Interesting.
I hope I answered.
Some interesting conversation there. Oh, thank you, Darlington. So I'll go to Arinola. Yeah.
So for the person that is skeptical about voting because of the experience he or she had the last time, what you should realize is that in governance, it's not just about the person, the politician you're voting in. The civil service are the people in government. And those who are elected for a period, 4 years, which is mostly what we all practice, democracy. After 4 years, if they are lucky, they do a second term. If not, after that 4 years, that's bye-bye. And what you find is that when they get in there, They all have manifesto, they have big dreams. So let's take Nigeria, for instance, when everybody was clamoring that we should bring in our big Baba Buhari, the president, because of his track record of discipline and honesty. But if you survey, check a survey now, I'm sure you won't find people they are happy with this tenure, given the high rate of insecurity, the high rate of unemployment, the high rate of inflation, and the poor standard of living. So what I would say is that even we shouldn't let that dissuade us from going back again, because I realize that we need to keep doing it. So if you say people are bad and the good ones are also running away, the number of bad people will keep increasing. But if we try to put in our voice and say, hey, yes, we all have rights here, we should be heard, I am pretty sure that at some point, one or two people will hear those cries. So I will want to plead with you, don't give up your right. If you have the vote again, please do. Also be aware that it is not just about the person you're voting for. He will not be the one doing all the work. He has people around him. So don't be disappointed that to carry out those things he had promised, but have faith that things will improve, things will get better. And that's my stand. I have hope, but I believe that we youths have to play a part. We can't sit alone, fold our hands, and just be watching, be onlookers. No, it can be done. You have to be up the voice. You have to be part of those doing the act. Somebody also put in the chat box about somebody getting into the portal before he voted. Yes, there's no, even in US, in the best of countries, they are criminals, but we still can't say we won't be part of it. We need to be part of it, and it's when we're part of it that we can have a voice. So please, I'll encourage anybody, don't give up your voting rights. Engage, ensure that you participate for us to. Thank you.
Thank you, Arinola. I would really want to hear Hamed Hafiz, but before Hamed speaks, I think your like what you've said and what Darlington said has reminded me what Ivan Siegel said. This is like he did some research in a certain university and is doing journalism. So what he came up with, he did like a conclusion, and he said, if every single one of us inhibits ourselves from voting simply because maybe on the belief
these boys can start their homework rather than running up and down.
Sanusi, could you kindly mute? Okay, so I was talking about a study that was done by Ivan Siegel, a journalist student, and I'm kind of relating this to what Arinola and Darlington have told us. And the journalists say that if every single one of us inhibits ourselves from voting, simply based on the belief that our ballots don't matter, then nothing will truly change. And we'll be stuck complaining about present circumstances when we could have easily done something to make a difference. As we ponder on that, let's hear from Hamid. Hamid Hafiz, I hope I pronounced that well.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Hamid. Yes, I see some nice comments in the chat and I would really want to hear from you.
All right, thank you very much. Actually, what I see about youth having apathy towards election in Nigeria and Africa as a whole is basically because of, Nigerians, I think the issue of godfatherism in politics. So that has even been an issue whereby most youths are fearing going into politics. So I think, and about what Mrs. Arinola said about electronic voting, I'm actually in support of that. If Nigeria is ripe enough to work in such a way that the database system for the voting can't be compromised. So at least that will give more youths the opportunity to vote, because most of the youths we are seeing nowadays are just Twitter politicians. I'm sorry to say. So you will see many saying, hey, I'm in support of this so person. So they are just shouting that on Twitter. But when it comes to coming out to vote, so most don't have the strength or don't even find it worthy of going out to vote. But I think if electronic e-voting can be put into consideration, and about that of my school that I mentioned, so it has happened to me. So like, let me say, since my 100 level days, so I haven't had the opportunity to vote until I get to my 500 level days. So I'm a final year student presently. So I'm having, it's not that I have apathy of not for voting or something, but before I get to my portal like this, I would have seen one or two people would have voted for me. Like I'll be dumbfounded, like who shared my password? That nobody knows the password to my portal, but I just see that they've already voted for me. So thank you very much. I appreciate you for making this possible, and to all our speakers, Mr. Darlington, thank you very much. Mrs. Ariola, thank you. I must say I did not regret coming down here, and thanks to Mrs. Ariola. So Ms. Ariola is the one that basically invited us to come here, and I must say I'm really enjoying myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hamid. That's really awesome. It was good hearing from you. You know, I was going through the chats and I was like, wow, let me hear from Hamid. Bukola, do you have anything to say before we jump to the last question?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I think the experience I have, because I grew up in Nigeria, I was in Nigeria till I was in my 20s, and then I moved to the United States, and I never voted in Nigeria because obviously at that time for me, it wasn't something that was popular that, you know, nobody talks about it. Nobody encourages you to do that. So it wasn't something that was ever a priority. But moving here, just to compare, is for the kids that are here, it's something that's actively being taught to kids at school. And when you get to that stage in your final high school, so you're 18, you get to your voting years, they make it so accessible to you. You register to vote at school, or when you get to go get your driver's license, at any opportunity you have, you're prompted to register to vote. And I think that always gives you a sense of empowerment that, oh, I can do it. So, so I think for our youth in Africa, in Nigeria particularly, because I speak towards Nigeria, that's one thing I would like to change, if it's not changed yet, is to be able to groom kids from when they're little, that this is your right, and hopefully to empower them to feel like they can do something with the step of registering to vote first.
Wow, thank you so much. So Bukola, they are stating that you have to start it as early as possible, like you let these children know their rights so that they can grab these opportunities and spaces out here. That's really interesting. Ruwaida, do you have any comment on that? Because elections, like Kenya has had their general election recently, and we'll be waiting for the other general election in the next 5 years. So I don't know, will you vote in the coming election? And why?
I will. Probably I will vote.
Are there any reasons why you feel you should really vote?
Because it's my democratic right.
I'll
just vote.
That's awesome. And on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is low and 10 is exceptionally high, how would you rate gender equality and social inclusivity component during the ballot process?
maybe 3.
3, wow.
Roughly 3.
Is there any reason why you chose 3?
Yes, because in Kenya, they
Mm-hmm.
are really into gender in both parliament, county assembly. They do balance.
Okay, so a 3 means it's very low, like those issues are not factored, like gender equality and social inclusion, like people with disabilities and all that is not factored. So do you still agree that it's 3 or it's above? Because 0 is low and then 10 is high. So do you still give it a 3?
No, 8.
Awesome. Okay, great. So do you feel like there is a great presentation of both genders in our political spaces, and like people living disabilities and all those excluding factors are being factored in our political process? Like even when we are going to vote, like the polling stations are very accessible to all of us. Like I would just want to understand this situation in Kenya.
Yes, they do available. For the past election on 9th, I saw them being carried by a bus. Hello?
We can hear you, Rada.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you. We can hear you, go ahead.
Oh. On 9th, was it August? On 9th August, we had a general election in Kenya, where I voted. In my polling station. I saw a bus which was carrying old people with disability. They were carried and brought into the polling station.
Awesome. And do you think those people who carried them are non-partisan, or they were just like affiliated to a certain political party? Because sometimes someone may wonder, like maybe a certain political party brought these people here, or is it just a non-partisan?
It's a non-partisan.
Oh, great.
I saw village elders with them, chiefs accompanied them. So it was not all about politics.
That's really great. It's really nice to hear that Kenya is advancing and it's incorporating gender equality and social inclusion in the political process. How is the situation in Nigeria and Zimbabwe? To Arinola and Darlington?
In Nigeria, I think most disabled people, so they have people that support them to come, at least for those that want to vote. They have people that support them, they come to the polling center and they do cast their votes. And I don't think there's any discrimination between men and women. I'm female and I've always been voting, at least in the last 2 or 3 elections. And I see a lot of women also come out to vote without any discrimination. And there are women also who are the polling officers, who are the ones manning the polling centers. So I think there's very good balance in terms of gender equality.
Awesome. So you give it a what rate? A range between 0 and 10?
Say about 8, because
8.
I know we could do more. Yeah.
Awesome.
About 8.
Wow, that's really interesting. Darlington, what about Zimbabwe?
Damaris, I would like to say that for Zimbabwe, I'll give it a 7, because we have seen a situation where there's been an improvement in terms of women participation in politics specifically, and also the issue of the fact that our constitution was actually tailor-made in such a way that there's a quota system for young people and a quota system for women in both like the lower house of Parliament and the upper house of Parliament. That actually encourages a lot of women to take up active political roles. And also we have a bunch of young people that we see who have become ministers, deputy ministers, and are very active in the political dispensation, especially after with this second republic that we have under President Mnangagwa. We are seeing a little bit of progress, although, you know, as kids, we will never be happy. If you give us one sweet, you know, we want two more. So we feel like there's also more to be done. Especially, it is regrettable that recently the cost of maybe registering as a candidate in the electoral process is just gone up, and I don't know if women, young people would be comfortable to raise that amount and be able to register themselves as candidates. But yeah, we've seen some progress, especially with the Second Republic, and we are hopeful that this will continue until a time when, you know, we have more and more young people in active politics in our country.
All right, thank you so much, Darlington. I don't know, I feel I should give also this opportunity to Atoyebi and Hussein. Would like to hear your voices.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. I'm from Nigeria, Atoyebi Sharif. And added to what people have said on the platform, I would just want to add that it should not just be about the central politics, central governance. Young people should also look inward and come to realize that our society also matters. Communal work and how we contribute to what goes on around us, how we can positively influence what goes on around our society, in our society, should also matters to us as well. So thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. I so much appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Atoyebi, and thank you so much for contributing. Hussein, Chirangoi. Hussein, are you there? Oh. Okay, cool. I think, Hussein, are you saying anything?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also from Kenya.
Awesome, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I've had part of the conversation about what Madam Rueda was talking about. And I think that in Kenya, things have also improved in terms of involving the old and the less fortunate in educating them, and especially when it comes to assistance that they're given during the election period. So I think they are well included and they're well represented, because we do have a civic education that goes on during the polling period. And I think that it has also helped them to be more involved when it comes to stepping up to the democratic rights. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Hussein, for your contributions. Really appreciate that. I see iPhone has joined. I don't know if you got our conversation, because we are winding up, and I'm wondering if you have anything to say. But because it's the last minute remarks, I want to give this opportunity to our incredible speakers to give us some parting shots. Over to you. Whom should I start with? Anyone to go first? Either Arinola, Darlington, or Wada? Oh, we see some other folks joining.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
So I just want to remind everybody that being part of the civic process is our right. We also have a responsibility to ensure that we hold our leaders accountable. And like I said earlier, we should exercise that. We should ensure we cast our votes so that we can actually have a voice. We shouldn't think that our voice doesn't matter. Yes, it does. We might not say it to become more obvious. And I would also want to encourage us that anytime we see any, don't keep quiet about it. Speak to people in authority. Speak to people who you know knows people that can actually hear you, because to those people. But if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows someone up there, they could actually find a subtle way of passing that message across. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Arinola, for making it here. We really appreciate. That was a very, very remarkable conversation, very interesting insights, and I'm sure the participants have gotten more, just like I did, and I really appreciate it. Darlington, any parting shots? And folks, please stay here because we are going to have we are going to have a peek at the end of it all. So Darlington, please, your parting shot.
Yeah, thank you, Javaris, for putting this together and thinking about it in the first place, and having people come from different backgrounds to try and dialogue around this interesting issue. And yeah, I look forward to it growing, and maybe we can, make it global and have more people on board. I feel like this is a very good initiative, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Darlington. Rueda, do you have any parting shots? Okay, I see Deno, we haven't heard from you. Do you have anything to say as we wind up? Okay, cool. Is there anyone who has any comments before we take a snapshot? So I don't know if we can put on our videos. Let me try this out.
It was good.
I don't know how many we are in here.
Sanusi raising her hand.
Sorry?
Sanusi, are you raising your hand?
Oh, Sanusi.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, you're welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Sorry, my name is Sanusi Fauzat, and I actually just stumbled into the link to this program, and I decided to actually join and listen. I want to congratulate you all for the success of the program, and the content was actually inspiring. It's been wonderful trying to take decisions and then trying to be a voice and trying to also work towards having our rights. But I was trying to shut the host at the other end that there are a lot of things that are unknown to us too, that some of us actually do go through. I am a lupus warrior, and I have people living in pain every day that cannot even go about the daily activities every other people can go through. It's painful for us. We actually can't do a whole lot of things other people are doing. We live in pain every day, and we have been trying to speak to people to be our voice. We need the government to come to our aid. People die every day of lupus. I know many people heard of Kemi Afolabi's story. I have been living with lupus for about 14 years, and I have been managing it. As I'm talking to you, I'm presently on flare. It's everyday pain. We wouldn't know where the pain will be coming from. So please, it's a good one. We want to talk to the government to make decisions, but there are a lot of things happening in the world that people don't also know about. One of it is what I suffer from lupus. And currently we have a lot of kids, we have men, we have women suffering from lupus. If I would just take a few minutes of our time, lupus is an autoimmune disease, a condition whereby your body organ fights the body itself. You're protecting you, but in the process, it doesn't stop working, and you have it's like the soldier of a country invading the country, fighting the country itself. So it moves into all organs and brings down the body immunity and destroy the body tissues. It walks around various organs, taking all the organs down until it gets to the kidney, which is the last organ that is being destroyed. I escaped the kidney destruction, and that is why I'm alive today. So many people do not escape it, and they have to run dialysis almost every 3 days of their life. So I just want to use this opportunity to thank you all for inspiring me this evening again, getting me up from where I was lying down to listen to you all. Yeah, it's not easy. It's been so worrisome. We want the world to talk to us. I can't drop my private number on the chat box for everyone. You can reach out to us. You can support us in any way you can. And we hope that the world will also know that lupus is real. It is depressive. People in it, many people take their own life to actually end it. But we thank God that we are beginning to get awareness. We are beginning to get support. I was actually looking for something to distract me from my pain this evening when I saw her, Sister Ariola's link to the program. So thank you for making my evening. Thank you for letting me know I can be a voice to people, and I should continue what I'm doing. Thank you all. And that is just what I have to say.
Thank you for joining us now.
Yeah.
Thank
you for making
like this, the inclusive part of it, gender inclusivity, people that are disabled. Some people are lucky they're able to find their way to the polling booth. But like I said before, the electronic voting would also help people like this, even with lupus, but are really ready to ensure that they give up their civic responsibility. Thank you for joining this call, Mrs. Anderson.
This is the challenge we have, is that we can't even go into the sun. We can't go out. So, hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, so we need a platform. Like I reached out to some political people. We couldn't even get, most of us couldn't get our PVC because we couldn't stand the queue. We couldn't even stay. I stayed on the queue. I had to leave when I had crisis.
Electronic registration and voting will be the best option for people.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So, thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Wow. What can I say? Thank you so much for everyone for joining this conversation. I'm actually looking forward to having more and more of such conversations in the coming near future. And just know that we really, really appreciate you finding time to join us today. And we hope that you found this conversation really meaningful. And yeah, you can roll on and get some your takeaways from the session, because personally, I have lots of takeaways from this session and I really, really appreciate it so much. So yes, I'm in the US and I'm working with Chicago Votes. So what we are doing is we are running a campaign called, this t-shirt is Give a Shit. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's written Give a Shit. So what we are doing is like we're going to the communities, we are going in colleges, we are going in high schools, telling these young people to come out and vote, because the first step is to register as a voter. So we bring them on board, we talk to them. Most of them don't want to vote literally because of one reason or the other. So we find time to just talk to them, make them understand that they can be the change that we really want in the community. So it's not really easy, but combined efforts from all stakeholders, we know we will make it, yeah, in this journey. And we're looking forward to a very good and democratic society. Hamid, do you have anything to say? Because I want to take a snapshot of us. And please let us all be on camera. Hamid, you can put on, okay, you can say anything you want to say as I take the snapshot.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I must say the input of youth to voting, because in my state, so we just concluded our governorship election, and I must say the turnout of youth was at least beyond Africa, let me say 70%. So the turnout of youth was very massive, because despite the rain that day, so people still, the youths are really ready to stand by their votes. And I think the election that day was really free and fair. And also with the introduction of e-portal by INEC, I think that has also given us some chances to at least make our pre-registration. So before we are being given dates to go and do the final thumb printing and all stuff like that. So I think we youth are really trying nowadays. We are no more just ranting and doing all stuff online. I think we are also going into politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hamid. Okay, guys, in the count of 1, 2, 3, so you'll have to put on your best smiles because I'm now going to take the snapshot. Oh, Rada, Atoyebi, I hope you're okay, because now in the count of 1, 2, 3, if I say 3, put on your best smiles, because that's when I'll capture it. Okay, there we go. 1, okay, just a minute. 1, 2, 3.
Are we done?
Yeah, but I can take a couple of them if you want.
Oh my God. I have to go, guys.
It's okay.
All right.
Yeah,
See you.
yeah, see you. Oh, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So feel free to exit. I'll just share the snapshot with you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Damaris.
You're welcome, Marinola. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wada. Goodbye, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I love you all.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.